Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. This is Anne with the Easing Spirit. And today I want to talk about lucid dreaming. This topic recently came up between a friend of mine and myself in relation to lucid dreaming. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I had heard about it in the past before I ever started my spiritual journey, but I didn't understand what lucid dreaming meant. A lot of people don't understand what it means. So I figured I would have this discussion and give my experience with it and give some good pointers on how you can actually achieve it, right? Because a lot of times we have dreams, and I know many, probably everybody has woken up at a point where you've been having a dream and you're just like, oh my God, and it was so real and it was so frightening and was so overpowering. And a lot of times it'll tap into our fears of losing loved ones, or somebody's chasing us and they're going to take our life, or whatever it is. It's the stressors of our daily life that leak out from our subconscious while we're sleeping. Sometimes we don't remember them. And sometimes our dreams can be not just a manifestation of the stuff that's inside of us as far as fears, but it can also be very prophetic, right? So there's things that can happen that can maybe not the exact situation that happened in the dream, but something comes along that you understand that dream better when you have it, that you're like, oh, and it's almost like a prophecy type thing, right? And so the difference between understanding what lucid dreaming is and regular dreaming. Lucid dreaming means that you're completely aware that you're in a dream state while you're in it. Regular dreams are just regular dreams of things that we see while we're sleeping, whether it is something that we have fear of, or maybe it's a place that we want to go, and so in our dream we go on vacation there, or whatever it is. That's a dream that you're just dreaming and you have no control over it. You're within the dream, but you're like an observer. But when you're lucid dreaming, you are actually involved in what's going on. And I was told about this many times, and I thought, well, how in the heck? How do you lucid dream? How do you even get there? So I'm going to give you some techniques that are pretty simple to use, that and it has a lot with stating your intention as well, right? What your intention is, especially when you're going to fall asleep. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. I had a situation where, and this was early on in my spiritual journey, where I was having these dreams, because where I live at, we're up on a hill and we overlook a valley. And when you're coming down from where we live, the view is just absolutely beautiful. In the daytime, you can see, and especially in the spring and even in the fall, as colors change, as trees begin to bloom, as stuff comes into blossom, or in the fall as things begin to change out, or even in the wintertime when there's snow on the landscape. It's extremely beautiful when you come down. And then at night when you come down, you always see the lights of the cities that are off in the distance. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And as you come down the hill from where I live at, and it's a pretty long hill. It takes you a little while to get down it. There is also lots of foliage and trees and everything that are along the side of it. And we see deer and all kinds of stuff that are up there walking around at different times when you're driving down the hill. But I kept having these dreams that something catastrophic was happening. We were having solar flares coming from the sky. The mountain that's near where I live was exploding, and there was molten lava and fireballs coming, and it was hell and damnation, right? It's what we all fear, right? And I kept having this dream and it was scaring me. And it wasn't like I had it every day for several days, but over the course of a few months, I had it about 3 or 4 times. It was never exactly the same. There was different variances in the dream. However, the very last time that I had the dream, it was almost like I remembered that if I tapped into my ability to lucid dream, that I would be able to control things. And so in that dream, as odd as it may seem, I reached down and I said to myself, if I'm dreaming and I pinch myself, I'm not going to feel it. Because I've experienced dreams where I've been shot, I've been chased, I've all of that, and I've never felt the pain of any of it. I've been ran over. There's lots of stuff that's happened to me in my dreams, and I've never felt the pain that came with it. So I actually said to myself, this can't be real. This absolutely has to be a dream. I'm going to pinch myself. And if I can feel the pinch, then I am awake. And if I can't, then I am sleeping. And so I pinched myself. And I automatically realized that, oh my God, I'm dreaming. This isn't even real. And once I realized that I was dreaming, I was able to stop everything, all of the chaos that was happening, and bring it all to a complete end. Where I was just there with the people who were around me. I didn't, and maybe I could have even went farther with it at the time, but I was still learning and understanding what lucid dreaming is. And right now I'm going through a patch where I'm struggling to remember my dreams. I'll wake up, and the moment that I wake up, I will lose the dream. So I don't even remember that I had them. I don't know if I am lucid dreaming or if I'm not anymore, because I don't remember what I've dreamt about. I'll get a glimpse of it as soon as I wake up. But if I shift or move or do anything, I've had people say keep the dream journal right next to the bed so that as soon as you wake up, you can write something down that's going to trigger the memory. Even as soon as I acknowledge doing that, I lose the piece of the dream that I remembered. So I've been struggling lately. And I don't know if it's right now that maybe my higher self doesn't want me to focus on that, so I'm being pulled away from it. But absolutely, once I realized I was dreaming in that dream, and I pinched myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't even real. And I was able to stop all of the catastrophe, all the crazy stuff that was going on around me, and I brought everything back down to a calmness. My dream ended. And it was very empowering for me at that time to realize that I was able to control what was going on in my dream. So it was helpful for me. One thing that you can do is do reality checks, is what they call it. When you're dreaming, or even when you're awake. When you're awake, do a reality check. A reality check could be, can you stick your finger through your palm? And within this existence, we absolutely can't, right? But if you're dreaming, you absolutely can. You're completely capable of doing it. And so when you're in a dream state and you're questioning whether you're in reality or not, or you're actually in the dream, techniques like that, reality checks, just like I did, pinching myself and knowing I can't feel the pain when I'm actually not physically doing it. This is just like a movie playing in my mind, sticking your finger through your palm. Jumping from a high place that you know you would never jump from in normal life can also trigger you to know that you're lucid dreaming. Because then once you do that, you know you're capable of flying in that dream. You know you're capable of doing anything. Another thing that can help too is journaling, like I was just speaking on. So begin by making it a habit that you keep a dream journal next to your bed. And when you wake up and you have even a piece, a sentence, a word, whatever it is that comes to your mind that allows you to remember what you were dreaming about, you can write that word down. So that word is a trigger for you. So that when you actually sit with it and you think about it, you can then write out what it was that you were dreaming about. And keeping that dream journal, that information, is also very helpful in getting you to understand what goes on in your subconscious while you're sleeping. Because we process a lot while we're sleeping. Our mind is extremely active. The whole entire time our body is shut down and it's, in this mode of slumber, and you hit those deep modes of sleep. And that's when your brain begins to work out problem solving, creativity, lots and lots of things that you can tap into. Another thing that you can do is they call it mild. It's called mnemonic induction of lucid dreaming. And what that means is that when you go to sleep, as you're drifting off, you set the intention to lucid dream. You set the intention that you plan to lucid dream and remember what you dream about. And you visualize yourself becoming lucid. And it makes it easier as you fall into slumber to go into that state, because you are setting that intention in your mind before you go to sleep. And it may not happen the first several times that you do it, and you may have to do it over and over and try doing it, I always say that when it comes to new things, it's always hard to implement and get that stuff lifted off the ground. New things are always difficult. However, if you're truly interested in being able to reach that state, then every single time that you go to sleep, setting that intention, setting yourself in the belief and already seeing yourself lucid dreaming and having control of the situation will make it much easier when you roll into a dream for you to recognize that you're in a dream. I had one dream that was very prophetic for me. It was really strange how my mind worked out the concept of this. And it was in the beginning of my spiritual journey, but it was after I had the lucid dream that I realized that I could control things. So I was going through a lot of stuff in my life at the time. I separated from my husband. I was no longer working for the company that I had been working for, and so I was stressed about work at the time. I was stressed about money. I was stressed about a lot of stuff. But I was also in the beginning of really embracing my spiritual journey and realizing that I had to begin to be appreciative of everything that I had and have gratitude for what I have. Because when we give gratitude to what we have, instead of sitting in what we don't, it actually brings more abundance to us, if that makes sense. So, and you'll hear me say this a million times, your intention is everything. So the intention that you set in your life and what your focus is on and what you manifest is what will come to you. So I had a dream that I was outside in the front yard of I almost want to say it might have been like a mobile home, like a single wide, older tin style mobile home. And I was outside in the yard, and I was out there with a few people. I had my smallest dog with me, because I have two dogs, but I didn't have my bigger dog. I had my little dog with me. And there was a couple of people that were out there. I want to say that my best friend was one of them. My daughter was another person. And then there was the third person that was a male, and I'm not exactly sure. It could have been one of my sons, or it could have been my brother. It could have been somebody else. However, the dream, I heard this noise, right? And I looked up and I saw a plane coming. And it was a large plane. It, clearly could have held a couple of hundred people on it. And it wasn't coming at where we were, but it was coming close to where we were. And off in the distance from the property that I was on, I could see this clearing of trees. And it was like a whole bunch of evergreens, because I live in Washington State and we're known as the Evergreen State. And there was a whole bunch of evergreen trees. It was like a forest. And I saw this plane coming, and I heard the engine was getting closer and closer. And for some reason, I stopped for a moment and I actually watched it as it went into the trees. And then just as I saw it hit the trees, I yelled, "Run, everybody run." And I scooped up my puppy. And just as I was turning, I saw the explosion. And we all ran into the trailer that was there. And I saw the fire and everything coming. It was like almost like an atomic bomb when it goes off and you see that mushroom cloud and the force of that energy that clears everything in its path. And that's how that's what I felt. It was imminent danger of something coming for us. And we ran inside and shut the door. And as soon as we got inside and shut the door, the feeling of safety immediately enveloped me. I was not afraid that it was going to destroy the trailer that we were in. I wasn't afraid that anything catastrophic was happening any longer. My attention was suddenly drawn to the bedroom that was in this trailer. And I went into the bedroom in the trailer, and I saw in the window, it was almost like it was like kind of like a fishnet or some type of netting that was on each side of this window. And inside of there was a bird. And the bird was flying all over the place. And it was a beautiful bird. It had blue and red colors. And I approached it and I looked inside and I saw there was a nest in there, and there was 3 eggs inside of the nest. And it was very comforting and very loving for me to witness seeing this, right? And I could see that one of the eggs began to crack. It was like life was coming in. It was like a birth. And that's where my dream ended. And I realized in the span of a period of time that the dream represented the process that I was going through. So the crazy, the plane crash and all the, all the crazy that was going on with that and me running from it. It was me going through and removing all of the chaos that was happening in my life at the time. With the career and the marriage and relationship and even my own spiritual growth and who I was on the inside as a person, because I had came to a point in my marriage where I was turning into somebody I didn't recognize, and I didn't like it. I knew that it was up to me to make that change, to make a difference. And so I started to remove the things that felt so chaotic in my life and make the change, right? And the change ended up cultivating into the birth of these birds in my dream. Me feeling like I'm being reborn. I feel like each one of the eggs represented something. One of them represented the marriage that I had let go, but there was a new birthing of the possibility of love and trust later on in my life, right? Because that egg had not started to hatch yet. It was sitting there. And the other one being career, right? And that egg had not began to hatch yet. But the other egg that represented my spiritual journey and me learning to trust in the process and starting on the path was beginning to crack open. So that dream, feeling like it was prophetic to me. It was speaking on everything that I was going through. And as I began to sit down and really meditate and visualize on what the dream represented and what it was meaning, and then the way that things started to fall in my life, I completely understood what the dream meant. It meant that I was removing myself from the chaos and I was coming into a new. I was being reborn. Things were going to change. I was going to go through a major change in my life, which I indefinitely have, and I know I have much more changing to come. So those being a couple, a couple of explanations of, and the dream that I had that was prophetic was a dream that was just a normal dream. It wasn't a dream that I had any control in. I wasn't lucid dreaming because I didn't even go into the concept of, am I dreaming or am I awake? So, that's the difference between the two types of dreams. But I do the mild. I do mnemonic induction of lucid dreaming. However, the funny thing is that sometimes I'll get a glimpse and then sometimes I won't. Or I'll wake up and I'll feel the dream is there and there'll be a word or something and I'll say the word in my mind or I'll say it out loud. But then just as my mind's coming into focus, into reality, it's gone. I lose it. So I almost feel like maybe right now my dreams are not something I'm supposed to be paying attention to. My higher self is saying that's not part of the package right now. It'll eventually come into play, but just not right now. But the other thing about lucid dreaming is that you can absolutely use it to overcome your fears and phobias. Because when you lucid dream and you tap into what your mind is doing, and you can decide when you're lucid dreaming to not control it. You can pinch yourself and say, okay, I'm dreaming, but you can just walk through it and be an observer. And it is going to show you pieces and give you pieces of information of what your fears are, your phobias are, the things within you that you can better to make yourself more grounded and more spiritual, or just more grounded. It doesn't even have to be about being spiritual. It can be about being grounded and being within a good place inside of yourself, right? And tapping into your subconscious unlocks potential as well as removing fears. It opens you up to possibilities of thinking bigger, thinking outside of the box, trying to better yourself as a person. If it's changing your career, or, if it's eating healthier and exercising and maybe going to the gym all the time, or maybe beginning to see a counselor or a spiritual guidance coach like myself, or whatever it is, it unlocks potential in your mind, as well as creativity, as well as letting go of phobias and fears. So there's many things that you can gain from trusting the process of lucid dreaming and attempting to do it. But I would say that when you're trying it, don't push, right? And trust. Don't have this huge expectation that, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go to bed tonight. I'm going to lucid dream, and then it doesn't happen, and then you feel disappointed. Don't do that. Everything is in baby steps. Even a spiritual journey, or even self-growth period, it all starts in baby steps. It doesn't start where you run and just jump off the pier and you know it all. It comes in pieces to you, right? And maybe this will resonate with you now, because maybe it is something you can do, and maybe it won't resonate with you at all. Not now, but maybe later, right? So all of the things that we come across in our life, in our spiritual journey, or even in personal growth, come to us and mean something when they are a part of our path or our process. You can hear lots of things. I've heard things in the past where I've been like, whatever. But now when I look back on them, I think to myself, oh my gosh, that was seriously enlightening. But at that time, it wasn't for me to take, right? It was for me to dismiss, because I wasn't at a place in my life where I could implement that. But when something piques your curiosity and you're like, and you even think on it for a moment, that means that it's a piece of something that can get you to your greater good. It's reaching, it's hitting something on the inside, right? And making you look at that as a possibility of something that you would want to implement into your life for your greater good. You know, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call to action, and I am going to encourage you to try it, right? And then when you try it, share your experience. Come back and comment. Give me a comment on what that experience was like. Even if it takes you a few, you know, even if it's 6 months down the road from now and I see somebody pop up and say, oh, I finally did it and I tried it and it was great. Share that experience with me. You know, tap into the potential that you have inside yourself to be creative, to remove fear and phobia, to grow yourself more on the inside for your self-betterment and your greater good. So I don't know if this resonated with anyone today or if anybody got anything from it. And if at least one person did, then I did my job. I encourage you to click below to subscribe so that you know whenever I post videos or meditations, because I usually do them daily. And you can also reach me. You can comment here on any one of the videos if you're interested in any of the things that I offer, which is, you know, different spiritual coaching, oracle readings, tarot readings, energy work, Reiki stuff. And it doesn't have to be in person. It can absolutely be remote. You can reach me as well at The Easing Spirit on Facebook. That is my business page. But I encourage everybody to live each day in love and light, and always namaste. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.